So I'm assuming everybody received the printout, not the printout, but the PDF of the two versions of the Hanuman Chalisa. One has the Devanagari script, as well as a transliteration with diacritical marks. Often when I do this kind of group chanting, I actually don't use this sheet. I use the other one that I emailed you as well, which has just more simple English rather than the diacritical marks. That's easier for some people. But I thought maybe we would spend a little time today with trying to maybe approach the pronunciation in a way that's closer to the way in which it's pronounced using the diacritical marks. Just we'll try. You know, I realized I just did a workshop with people in Japan 2 days ago. And, you know, we all speak differently. It's just the nature of things. So we'll just do our best to get as close as we can. And that'll be good. The intention is already set because we're all here together. And if you have not received the documents, just write to Serena in the chat, and she's actually going to post a Dropbox link in the chat so you can download them from there. Okay? I'm just going to start with a little invocation, and we'll sing a little Sri Ram Jai Ram just to arrive. Atulita baladamam hemashela badeham. I bow to the son of the wind, of immeasurable strength, and a body that shines like a mountain of gold. Dhanu javan krishanam Jnaninam agraganyam, with the fire to destroy the demons, wisest of the wise. Sakala guna nidhanam vanaranam adisham, the abode of all the best qualities, chief of the monkeys. Raghupati priya bhaktam vatajatam namami. Beloved of Sri Ram, I bow to you. Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Sing with me. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Shri Ram Jai Jai Rama. Shri Ram Jai Jai Rama. Shri Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram 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 Jai Ram. Mangalamurati Marutananda Sakala Mangalamula Nikanda. Mangalamurati Marutananda Sakala Mangalamula Nikanda. Shri Guru Charana Saroja Rija Nija Manam Kuru Sudari. Barano Raghubar Gumal Jasu Jodayak Phalachari. Buddhahin Tanu Janike Sumero Pavan Kumar. Balabhuti Vidya Dehu Mohi Harahu Klesha Vikar. Siyavar Ramachandra Pad Jai Sharanam. Jaya Hanuman Jnana Guna Sagar. Jaya Kapishya Loka Ujagar. Ramaduta Tulita Baladama. Anjani Putra Pavan Sutanam. Mahavira Vikram Bajrangi. Kumati Nivar Sumati Ke Sangi. Kanchana Varana Viraja Suvesa. Kanana Kundala Kunchita Kesa. Hatha Vajra Dvaja Viraja. Kande Moja Janeo Saja. Shankar Suvan Kesari Nanda. Teja Pratapa Mahajagavanda. Vidyavan Guni Ati Jatu. Ram Kaj Karibe Ko Atu. Prabhu Charitra Sunibe Ko Rasiya. Ram Lakhan Sita Man Basiya. Sukshma Rupa Dhari Siya Indikava. Vikat Rupa Dhari Lanka Jarava. Bhima Rupa Dhari Asura Sanghara. Ramachandra Ke Kaj Samar. Laya Sajivana Lakhana Jiyai. Shri Raghuveer Harashi Ur Laye. Raghupati Kini Bahut Badai. Tuma Mama Priya Bharata Hi Samabhai. Sahasa Vadan Tumaro Jasa Gave. As Kahi Shripati Kantha Lagave. Sanakadika Brahmadi Munisa. Narada Sharada Sahita Hisa. Yama Kubera Digapala Jahante. Kavi Kovid Kah Sake Kahante. Tuma Upakar Sugrivan Kina. Rama Milaya Rajpad Dina. Tumaro Mantra Vibhishana Mana. Lankeshwar Bhai Sab Jag Jana. Yuga Sahasra Jojana Parabhanu. Leelyo Tahi Madhura Phala Jana. Prabhu Mudrika Mile Mukha Mahi. Jaladi Langi Gaye Acharaj जगत के जेते, सुगमानुग्रह तुम्हारे तेते, राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे, होत न आज्ञा बिन पैसारे, सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी शरण, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना, आपन तेज समारो आपे, तीनों लोक हांकते कापे, भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे, नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा, संकट से हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे, सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा, और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोए अमित जीवन फल पावे, चारों युग परताप तुम्हारे, हे परसिद्ध जगत उजियारे, साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निखंडन राम दुलारे, अष्ट सिद्धि नौ निधि के दाता, असबर दीन जानकी माता, राम रसायन तुम्हारे पास, सदा रहो रघुपति के दास, तुम्हारे भजन राम जी को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे, अंत काल रघुवरपुर जाए, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाए, और देवता चित्तन डरहि, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करहि, संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा, जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई, जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई, छूटहि बंधि महासुख होय, जो यहाँ पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होया सिद्धि साकी गौरीसा, तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, कीजे नाथ हृदय मंडेरा, पवन तनय संकट हरना, मंगल मूर्ति रूप, राम लखन सीता सहिता, हृदय बसहु सबु, सियावर रामचंद्र पद जय शरणम। So welcome again. Sarina, did the harmonium sound too loud in comparison to the voice?
A tiny bit louder than usual, but I think it's okay. We could still hear you.
Okay. So I thought what we could do to start, I thought we would just sing it, just so that we have it sort of in our ears and in the atmosphere. And what I'd like to do is just kind of go through the verses where I just talk a little bit about what they might mean and how we might interpret them, and in that way it could be helpful to us. Because one of the aspects of learning the Hanuman Chalisa, people ask me all the time, how do I learn it? And so there's the part of memorizing, and for someone like me who's familiar with the Indian language, I was able to memorize it pretty quickly because I understand a lot of the words and the sounds are familiar to me. It's not always like that. And there are people who don't speak Hindi and still are able to memorize it very quickly. So there are different ways. There are some people who memorize it and they actually remember parts of it. So maybe the beginning, maybe the end, some middle verses kind of disappear. So that's natural. And even for me, like if I'm not singing it all the way through, sometimes if I stop and then I think about where I am, unless I go all the way back, I may not remember all the verses just instantly that way. So it's just a matter of kind of finding your rhythm, finding your way. Some people also like to do it this way. I asked a girl once, how did she like to memorize it? And she said that she would do a verse at a time, kind of get familiar with that, and then she went back and she would do the first verse and the second verse. So that's another way of doing it, and then you go back and do 1, 2, 3. You know, there's so many ways of doing it. So what I will do eventually is I'm making a tutorial where each verse is recorded as a separate track, and then you can find a way to repeat the number of times that you need. But ultimately, the best way to learn is just by doing it over and over. And that's what repetition is, that's what this chant practice is, even when we're just doing short mantras like Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Or a long one like this. So the Hanuman Chalisa is actually considered a mantra. Even though it's 40 verses long, it is a mantra. And Neem Karoli Baba said that the Hanuman Chalisa is actually Mahamantra. And Mahamantra implies that it has the ability to open our hearts, quiet our minds, and transform whatever negative obstacles or obscurations we might have, and help us move into a more open and lighter space. This is the power of mantra, and it's not something that you could actually speak about in terms of how it works. I wouldn't actually know how it works. These mantras were given to us by seers and rishis and people who had been involved in the practice for many hundreds of years over time, passed the tradition down. And so these prayers have remained. And they've remained because they work. And for even anybody who has done it for a certain period of time, they might understand that certain things have changed. It's hard to evaluate, it's hard to say, well, I've sung it once, so do I feel differently? Or while I was chanting it, do I feel differently? I think it's important to not actually evaluate it that way, but to maybe just find a way to own your practice. I like to use that term. And if you choose the Hanuman Chalisa as your practice, to do it with some sort of regularity. And even if it means that you chant it just once a day, and you find a way to do it, to sit in a space where you're not doing anything else, turn off your phones, and obviously if you have things going on that can't be possible, but it's okay. Just try and focus and do it for one repetition. It takes about 7 minutes if you do it slowly. If you do it very fast, you can do it much shorter than that. So that's what I would recommend, is just repeating and giving yourself the space to do this practice, because it is a practice, and the more you practice, the easier it gets. And it also becomes easier to retain the attention and the concentration that it requires to do any practice, whether you're doing a meditation practice, a breath practice, other mantras, and which involves, of course, just paying attention to what you're chanting, and also slowly as you go along, learning to understand the meaning of what you're chanting. And as you're chanting, you'll find that the thoughts are still going to arise, because this is the situation that we're in, where we're, I'm just going to admit somebody. Okay, Sarina got it. And where we're constantly bombarded by feelings and thoughts that arise, and they pull us away out of everything that we're doing, that we're trying to focus on. So I found that the more I try to understand the words of what I'm singing, even if it's not word for word, if we know what we're singing about, then that's helpful. So I wanted to just go through we'll go through the verses, and I'll just describe a little bit about what's happening in these verses. And then what I wanted to do was to do a spoken call and response. You will do it with me from your homes. You'll be able to hear yourself and hear me. I won't be able to hear you, because it's unfortunate that we can't all join as a group here, because the sound just gets crazy garbled, so there's no other way of doing it. And then we'll sing with music. But I think it's helpful to do it as spoken word as well, so that you can get a feeling of what it sounds like in your mouth, each of the words. So I just want to mention that this practice is what they call a practice of bhakti yoga. And bhakti is a Hindi word or a Sanskrit word which means devotion. And I think when we look inside ourselves, we understand that we don't have to be any different than we already are to be on the path of bhakti, because bhakti is devotion. Devotion is a natural part of our being. There are so many ways that we can feel that feeling of devotion. We have devotion towards our parents, we have devotion towards our children, we have devotion towards our pets. There are all kinds of ways in which that feeling of devotion arises. But when we use this feeling of devotion to arrive in the moment and have that feeling devotion towards everything that is, which includes ourselves, this is how the practice will help us. This is where the mantra has the transformative powers, so that we're able to recognize this devotional nature, this feeling of love that is within us. And it's not necessarily love towards anybody or anything, but just what we're actually made up of. And this is who Hanuman is. Hanuman, though being as humble as he is, Hanuman says to Ram, when Ram asks him, Sri Ram, who asks Hanuman, who am I to you? And he says, Sri Ram, O Lord, when I remember who I am you. When I don't remember who I am, I serve you. So if we can just sort of keep that in our minds, that everything that we do can be in service of the divine, that divine place within ourselves, that divine place that has compassion for all beings, that divine place that actually is free of these obscurations, or kaleshas, as they're called, as you will see as we go through this, which is just our natural state in this body, in this life that we're living right now as well. It's the part of us that we have to deal with every day. And it will help us, chanting these prayers will help us move through those obscurations. So, the other part of the bhakti practice is There are 9 forms of practicing bhakti, so I'll just go through it very quickly because I'm sure you'll recognize that you're probably already doing all of them anyway. And one is keeping the company of saints, which is not always easy to find because we don't have access to saints as far as we know. But I think that if we can read stories of saints, that's a helpful thing to do, or even just while we're looking at the world and greeting people, noticing their saintly nature, our saintly nature, which is one that again is full of compassion and consideration for other beings. Especially in this time, where we're all struggling with either we're alone in our homes or we're in confined situations with family members or people we are living with, and it's hard to find the space. So that space we have to find inside of ourselves. And there's so much evidence out there just by looking at the news or talking to your friends who you might know who are involved, who are on the front lines, or even if you're not on the front lines, you're helping other people deal with this situation. These are all acts of compassion, and we're all capable of them. Chanting, so the second way of another form of bhakti is chanting the names and hearing or telling stories of the divine. So chanting the Hanuman Chalisa is actually telling the story of Hanuman in a condensed way. If we want to do it in its very long form, it would be reading this. Many hundreds of verses in praise of Sri Ram. So this is the Sri Ram Charitmanas, and these are all my post-it notes of things that I come across as I'm reading the story. It takes a while to read it. It's not something you can sit down and do in a sitting like that. But if you can find a way to read a verse every day, and then after a while you start repeating, reading this as a practice. So this is another form of bhakti in which you're reading the stories of these sacred beings, and sometimes you can do it in a group. That's another fun way to do it as well. I'm going to go through a little bit about the story of Hanuman before I start going through the prayer itself, and that will be from here. And the poet saint who actually wrote the Hanuman Chalisa as you have it is Tulsidas, who wrote the Ramcharitmanas as well. The Ramcharitmanas is a newer version of the Ramayana that was written previous to that in Sanskrit, and the Ramcharitmanas is written in a language that's close to Hindi, which was the spoken language. It's called Avadi, which was what was spoken back in the day. Another form of bhakti is actions in service of the divine. The other is practice of self-control, seeing the world without distinctions, remaining contented with what one has and not finding fault in others. Puja and worship. So puja is in India, it's a form of worship where we light lamps, and you might light incense, and there are specific prayers that you repeat. So this is also another way of doing the Hanuman Chalisa every morning, where you find a sacred place to sit, and you can use an image of Hanuman like I have here from my puja. And the other way to do it, if you don't have an altar, is to just bring to mind the image of the being that you're chanting for or invoking. Or if that doesn't work for you, you don't even have to do that. Just the chanting in and of itself is okay. Honesty in all dealings, and keeping the divine in one's mind and heart at all times. So this is, I know some people are asking me to repeat all the 9 forms. What I'll do is I'll just put it all in a document later. I just want to mention that I'm going to have a Dropbox which will have a recording of this. So if you have to leave for some reason and not come back, you can leave the meeting, but you will get also a recording to watch later on. And I'm also going to add some other things into the Dropbox for you, maybe an image of Hanuman, things like that, that might be helpful for you. And I'll also put this in there, Serena will remind me. I'll just read a little passage from the Ramcharitmanas where Ram is talking to his brother Bharat, and he's talking about devotion. And he says to Bharat, dispassion results from the practice of virtue, while spiritual wisdom comes of the practice of yoga, or concentration of mind. And wisdom is the bestower of liberation, so declare the Vedas. But that which melts my heart, quickly, dear brother, and brings me to you, is devotion. Devotion, the delight of my devotees. It stands by itself and requires no other prop. Whereas jnana, the knowledge of God, both with and without form, depend on devotion. Devotion, dear brother, is incomparable and the very root of bliss. So I find this verse very helpful because we don't really have to know anything. I really do believe we all have devotional nature. And all we have to do is access that place. And if we have just a little bit of faith that these practices will work for us, we use that faith to then surrender to the practice and do it. And then let it do its thing, whatever that is going to be for each one of us, because it will be different. In case you don't know, I'll just give you a little bit of background about how I came to chant this prayer in the first place. I did hear this prayer from Krishna Das, who is a well-known chanter. I'm pretty sure you all know who he is. And it was on his first album. And though I'm from India, I hadn't actually heard the Hanuman Chalisa because it wasn't sung so much in the south of India, which is where I'm from. Back in the day. Now everybody in India seems to be chanting it. It's become easier for people to learn and access because more people are even speaking Hindi in India because, there are 22 different languages, but now most people are speaking Hindi as well. So this prayer Krishnadas learned this prayer when he was with his guru, Neem Karoli Baba, that's his picture, when he was with him back in the 1970s, and he recorded it on his first album, which I heard in 1996. And as soon as I heard the Hanuman Chalisa, I thought, I just want to know this and I want to hear it. So I had it on repeat. There was that one version that I had on his tape, one track heart. And it's a good thing I learned it, because I then went to Kenchi, which is Neem Karoli Baba's temple. And it was always also where I met Sri Siddhima. Siddhima is I consider her my guru because I spent, let me show you a picture of her. This was in her young days. I hope you can see it. When she used to do pilgrimage up in the mountains in Badrinath. I'll also add some of these photographs in your Dropbox, so you'll have this. Somebody's asking if we can include the Ramcharitmanas. We can include a link. It's not easy to find here, but I'm going to make some suggestions for reading the Ramayana in a shorter form, which I'll also put in the Dropbox or in my final email to you, my follow-up email. So I met Siddhima, and we were in the temple, so I went to Kenchi in 1998. And when I was there, it's a beautiful temple complex up in the hills, in the foothills of the Himalayas, and surrounded by trees and little villages. And when you walk into the temple courtyard, there is a Durga who you see on your right, and as you it's kind of open, and as you walk through the temple, you keep walking, take a little right turn, and there's a Shiva Linga, which is also worshipped. And then there's Lakshmi Narayan. And then another, in the same temple with Lakshmi Narayan is a beautiful little statue of Hanuman, Ram, Lakshman and Sita together, which is considered the family of Ram. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later and what that means to us. And as you go further in, there is a beautiful statue of Hanumanji as well. And I'm going to add that picture as well in the Dropbox so you can see what Hanuman looks like in Kainchi. As you go further, there is a temple in marble with Neem Karoli Baba. It's a statue of him. And if you turn around a little bit once more, the last temple at that time was a statue of Durga, a beautiful murti of Durga. Neem Karoli Baba made that murti in the likeness of Siddhima. So that's another story. But after he left the body, they made a temple for Neem Karoli Baba. And when we went to see Siddhima, we asked her, Ma, what seva can we do now that we're here? Because they welcomed us, and we were fed, and we were able to stay there for a good period of time. And she said, no, I thought maybe we could cut vegetables, or we could clean, or do something. And she said, the best seva that you can do is to repeat the divine name. Go and sing Hanuman Chalisas in front of Maharaji's temple. And so that was the seva that I had every day, if not once a day, twice a day. And some of my friends would travel with us, and we would all be together, and that was what we did. We had the chance to do our own puja in the morning, quietly, without anybody else. We were doing it spoken softly on our own. But then we were able to get together in the afternoon, and we would sing. And one of the things that Siddhima said to us also is that, you can memorize the Hanuman Chalisa, but it's important that even if you know it and you're not singing, but you're doing your own practice, which my practice in the morning is not actually singing, I actually just recite it. So it's more like, Shri Guru Charana Sarojaraja Nijamana Mukru Sudari, like that. When I do that, I read. And so what I read is what you have in the PDF that I sent you, which has the Devanagari as well as the English transliteration and the English translation. All those things are in there. And Siddhima said that it would be good to keep a good posture if you can, and read so that and speak it softly so that you're using your ability to hear yourself. You hear yourself reciting, which helps concentration. But reading also helps concentration. And as you do the reading, then you can also learn the translation of what you're singing. And that just helps deepen the practice. But all that being said, if that all feels like too much to do at the beginning, which it will, just simply recite the prayer. Hold the book up and recite. It's the best way to get into it. And then as you can have music playing in your house. I'm also going to give you this in the Dropbox later, which is like a 50-minute repetition of the Hanuman Chalisa in a few different melodies. So you can have that on. You can go for a walk, put it in your headphones. Some people, when we can eventually ride the subway, I don't know when that is, we will, you can have it there, you can have it in your car, so many ways. But playing it and being able to listen to it when you're cooking, recitation when you're cooking makes your food into prasad. So all kinds of ways to dive into the Hanuman Chalisa all the time. Okay, so I'm talking a lot. I guess that's what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm just going to read through these verses a little bit, just very quickly, and then we'll do the call and response where you will actually repeat the verses after me. Mangala Murati Maruta Nandana Sakala Amangala Mula Nikandana. So this is a very beautiful, it's sort of an invocation before you start the 40 verses, where you're already calling on Hanuman, who is the son of the wind, to destroy the root of everything that is inauspicious and harmful. So the root of everything. And that's important to notice because what could feel harmful or what could feel inauspicious or bad for you is often a function of how we're reacting to a particular situation. So by doing these prayers, if we can open our hearts in a particular way and give us the strength to accept and allow whatever's coming to us to come to us in a way with some kind of acceptance, we might not have some of the negative reactions we might have. So let me just give you before I even go into this any further, because we start talking about Hanuman as we go into the verses. I want to just say a little bit about the Ramayana, the story of the Ramayana, of which Hanuman is the central character. Actually, the story couldn't happen with any one of them, but he is a central character. And since we're talking about Hanuman, I thought I'd spend a little time talking about him as he appears in the story. So it is said that there was a time wherein our loka, or our realm in which we exist as we are right now, and we have to understand that time is not at all linear in these stories. It's a sphere of time, let's say. It was said that the negativities had overcome any of the light and knowledge and wisdom and dharma, the righteous way of living. So much so that it felt like the great beings, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, kind of got together and said, and the goddess, Shakti, that we really one of us needs to go and manifest in a form that can relate with the people in this loka, in this realm. So let's do that. So Vishnu said, I'm going to do that, and I am going to manifest as Sri Ram. Sri Ram not as a godly sort of being, but he arrives in the form of a prince. Ram Chandra is how he's referred to in the Ramcharitmanas. And the interesting thing is, when he does that, all the way through the Ramcharitmanas, you start to see Ramchandra very much is human, just like us, with all the follies and errors and mistaken judgments and evaluations on the one hand, and on the other hand, when others looked upon him, they saw his divinity. And then when he was reminded of it, when others bowed down to him or revered him, then he would understand his own divinity as well. So it's interesting, it goes back and forth. So when Vishnu said that this was the form he was going to take, so Shiva said, okay, I want to help you, this is my part in this, he then gives his seed by way of the Lord of the Wind, who is Vayu, such that it is he impregnates Anjani, who is the mother of Hanuman, who is a Vanara. That's how it happens. A Vanara is a being from the forest who looks like a monkey, as Hanuman looks like. And all of these Vanaras have similar forms. There are Vanaras who look like bears and other creatures of the forest as well. So when we talk about Hanuman, you will notice that he will be referred to as Pavana Sutta. Pavan is Lord of the Wind. Sutta means son. So because Vayu, the Lord of the Wind, carried this seed, he is also father to Hanuman. He is also Keshari Nandan. Keshari is his Vanara father, who was the husband of Anjani, who is his Vanara mother. So this is how it works in this story. Lots of little subtleties and interesting side segues. The goddess, who is Vishnu's consort, who is Shri or Lakshmi, takes the form of Sita. Sita shows up in the Ramcharitmanas as the daughter of the king Janak. Janak is actually a king who is fully enlightened, but he He has all the worldly pleasures, but he also has enlightenment at the same time. So he wants to have a daughter, and when he asks for the blessing of a daughter, she arrives literally in the furrows of the earth as a baby who is found by him, and he takes her as his daughter. So she's often referred to as Janaki, meaning daughter of Janak. Ram is also born into to a father named Dasaratha. Dasaratha means the 10-chariot king, Dasharatha. And he has 3 wives. Ram is born to his first wife, Kaushalya. And he has 2 other wives from whom he has other sons. They're a pair of twins, Shatrughna and Bharat. And then there's Lakshman as well. Lakshman shows up as well in this story. I just want to show you this picture while I'm talking about it because it could be helpful. You can see Ram and Sita on the throne, and you can see Lakshman on one side and the other 2 brothers on this side, and Hanuman is kneeling and holding Ram's feet. So the whole Ramcharitmanas progresses in this way. Starts really with Sri Ram being born, etc. And then also immediately it kind of fast forwards to the place where Ram meets Sita and they are in union with each other. It's a beautiful marriage of the feminine and masculine aspects. But very quickly, difficulties arise. So what happens is one of the wives of Dasharatha, who is the mother of Bharata, one of the younger sons, she says to her husband, listen, because Dasharatha is getting old and he feels he wants to crown Sri Ram as the king. And what happens is the mother of his younger brother Bharat says, well, actually I want Bharat to be the king. And there is an old promise that you owe me a boon from something that she had done in favor of Dasharatha many years ago. So there are all these little stories, but I won't go into them. But ultimately what happens is Dasharatha, even though he's so sad because he wants Ram to be the king, he knows he has to keep his word to his younger wife. And so instead says to Ram, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to have to exile you into the forest so that Bharata can take the throne. All this is happening without Bharata's knowledge. He's been sent away to do some other work for the king. And Sri Ram, being who he is, and wanting to follow the word of his elder, his father, he says, if that is your wish, that's what I will do. And Sita, being in union with Ram, said, well, if you're going, then I'm going as well. And Lakshman, his brother, says, well, if you're going, then I'm going to go and I'm going to protect you as well. So they leave. Bharata comes back from his duty that he's been sent to do, only to find that this has happened, and he's absolutely distraught. And he's mad at his mother that she did this and made his father promise this. But there's nothing to be done at this point. And he even goes into the forest and finds Ram and says, please come back. And Ram says, I'm not going to, because this is what we have to do right now. This is the right way. So you rule, you take the job of being the king. And Bharata says, well, I will do that, but give me your sandals. I'm going to take your sandals, I'm going to place it on the throne. And if there's any question that I have to ask about how best to rule this kingdom, I will ask at your feet. So these are the examples of the way in which the beings in this story are constantly bowing down. And you'll notice that in any of the prayers that we're singing, any of the mantras we might chant, like Om Namah Shivaya, for example, Namaha means to bow. It's the root of Namaste as well. So because our minds are pulled away by thoughts all the time, we have to keep reminding ourselves to come back. And a good way to remind yourself to come back is to bow. If you do the action of bowing in your mind, you will come back. So, just to continue with the story, so they go into the forest, and there are a lot of demons in the forest that are disrupting the practices of the sages, and Ram does his duty of removing these demons. And while that is happening, unfortunately, for everybody, there is also the great demon Ravana, who is flying through the forest because he has all these magical airships, and he actually sees Sita. And when he sees Sita, because he is the lord of the demons, so to speak, he lives in Lanka. Lanka is the city of gold and all treasures that have been taken from everywhere. Very, very wealthy. All the beautiful women and other beings that he wanted to have for himself, he's captured and he has them on Lanka. So every sensual delight and pleasure can be satisfied on Lanka. And still, it's not enough. And when he sees Sita, even though she is the wife of Sri Ram, he wants her for himself. But he also knows that she would never go with him willingly, and so he kidnaps her. While Ram and Lakshman are away from the house in which they were all staying in together in the forest. And there's a beautiful description of how all this happens, and you will see that in the Ramayana, how that happens. And there's only one being that actually saw her being carried away, and that is an old vulture. His name is Jatayu. He sees it being happening, but he's so weak and he doesn't know where she came from, who she belonged to. He doesn't know any of these things, but he has this knowledge, which becomes important later. And I'll explain why in a second. So Ram and Lakshman come back, and they realize that Sita has been taken away. And this is where it's very interesting to see that Ram, who really knows everything, doesn't know where she is. So this is the Leela, this is the whole Leela that plays out in the story of the Ramayana. And this is where we can experience, after union, a feeling of separation, and then the yearning, the constant yearning to be back in union again. And union with what? Union with that one love. Union with that place in our own hearts where Ram dwells. That is the place. It's not a place outside of ourselves. But somehow when we read stories like this and we can project this outwards and find our way back to ourselves through this projection, it's helpful. It's a reflection of who we are. So they're in the forest, that's right. And there's another little side story which I'll tell you because it's kind of helpful in understanding why when they meet Hanuman, Hanuman fully recognizes right away that he is in full service to Sri Ram. So one of the things that happens is that when Dasharatha wants to have sons, he has to do this fire ceremony. This is earlier on. And there's a particular fire ceremony that happens, and there's prasad that's brought out of the fire and offered to him, which then he offers to his wives, who end up being the mother of Ram, Lakshman, Shatrughan, Bharat. But a little piece also gets carried away by the wind, and that is also given to Anjani, who is the mother of Hanuman. So Hanuman is actually even a brother of Ram. You can think about it that way. In some of the stories this happens. So anyway, Ram and Lakshman are now traveling south, and they have found out that that's the direction in which they need to go, because they have met Jatayu and they realize that she was carried in that direction. So as they're traveling south towards Lanka, they come upon the Vanaras, and the Vanaras are forest dwellers. So Van means forest, so Vanara means the beings of the forest. Hanuman is one of them. And there's a lot of issues happening there with the leader of these Vanaras. He has turned out to be not able to actually rule the monkeys well, and there's a whole story that happens there. And he's able to be restored the throne of the Vanaras. I don't actually want to go into that now because it gets complicated with too many characters. But that is where Hanuman realizes that really he recognizes Sri Ram as this loving presence, and that his duty is to be in full service to Ram. So when Ram and Lakshman come there distraught as to where to find Sita, he says, I will help you. And that's what happens. So now I think what I'm going to do is I'll keep reading through the Hanuman Chalisa, because we will access this story as we're going through the prayer. Okay? So you read the first invocational verse. I'm just going to do one thing here. So this is an image of Sri Ram in his posture of service and blessing in a kneeling position. And here's a very nice image of baby Hanuman with his mother Anjani. And this is an image of Hanuman from Kenchi temple. Okay, so let's go back to our sheets. Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Nija Mana Mukuru Sudhari Bara no Raghubara Bimala Jasu Jodayaku Palachari. So many people have asked me before, what are the 4 fruits of life? That comes up a lot as a question. So I'll just quickly mention that they are known as dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So dharma is good actions, helpful actions. Artha is wealth, like actual physical wealth. Kama is sensual pleasures. And moksha is ultimately liberation from all these attachments and the cycle of life and death. And I just want to draw your attention to the first sentence, which was Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Nijamana Mukuru Sudhari. Taking the dust of my lotuses, the Guru's lotus feet, to polish the mirror of my heart. So in India, the Guru's feet are considered very sacred. And so a lot of bowing that we do in our tradition is bowing to the feet. And with the dust of the feet of the Guru, we can clean the mirror of our hearts so that we can see a clear reflection of who we are. So this is what we're asking of our Guru. Our Guru who lives in our own hearts, no other place. Buddhihina tanu janike sumiron pavana kumar Bala buddhi vidya dehu mohi harahu klesha bikar. I don't know anything, so I remember you, son of the wind. Grant me strength, intelligence, and wisdom, and remove my impurities and sorrows. There was a little story I just wanted to share with you. Once we were sitting with Siddhima, and one of my friends asked Siddhima, she said, why is Maharaji helping me? This is my friend who was asking the question. Why is Maharaji helping me when so many people are suffering? So that's an interesting question, because it brought to surface her own feeling of unworthiness, of like, why is Maharaji helping me when there's so many others also suffering? So Siddhima said that Maharaji, who is Neem Karoli Baba in this context, but is any divine presence as we wish to see, is like the sun and shines on everyone. We are like the drops of water, which are not clean, so they cannot reflect well. It is through the practice that we're able to clarify these drops of water, who we are, so that we can fully reflect the radiance of the sun. And we'll keep going. Siyavara Ramachandra Padajay Sharanam. I take refuge at the feet of Sita's Lord Ram. Jaya Hanuman Jnana Guna Sagar, Jaya Kapisha Tihun Loka Ujagar. Here we're talking about Hanuman as the ocean of wisdom and how he lights up the three worlds. Ramaduta Atalita Baladhama, Anjani Putra Pavana Sutanama. So here he is Ram's messenger. So as in the story of the Ramcharitmanas, when he goes out to find Sita, he goes and makes inquiries in other places. So he then becomes Ram's messenger. Anjani Putra means son of Anjani, and Pavana Suta is son of the wind. Mahavira Bikram Bajarangi, Kumati Nivara Sumati Ke Sangi, Kanchana Bharana Viraja Subesa, Kanana Kundala Kunchita Kesa. So this is a very beautiful aspect of Indian worship, or worship in this tradition, or bhakti tradition, which is you're calling to mind the visual of this being by describing them. So if you don't have the image, an actual image, or even if you do, you are bringing to mind what is the visual of this being so that you can call them closer to you. And so in this case, they're describing him. You are mighty as a thunderbolt. So in a lot of images of Hanuman, like for example in our temple in Rishikesh, I should have had that image here, but I don't have it. He's a huge murti that you can see from the road, and people actually will scream, Bajrang Bali Hanuman ki jai from the trucks that are going by, and you see the army trucks actually going up into the mountains because Hanuman is considered a warrior, so the army in India actually worships Hanuman. So this murti of Hanuman is, I don't know, he could be like 4 stories high. He's pretty tall. And so he's shown as very strong. And this is also symbolic of our own inner strength. And with also the clarity of a thunderbolt, the way in which thunderbolt or lightning will strike. It has a certain amount of clarity. Remover of evil thoughts and companion of the good, golden-hued and splendidly adorned with heavy earrings and curly locks. So these are just ways to describe Hanuman. Hatha Vajra or Dvaja Biraje, Kandhe Munja Janeo Saje. So if you look at this image of Hanuman, in this particular image, he is holding, I'm just going to point out to it, he's holding what's called a gada, which is a mace. And this is considered a weapon of destroying the ego. That's what that is. And in this image of Hanuman, he's also carrying a mountain here, which is Dronagiri. And this is the mountain that has the magical herbs that eventually Hanuman has to fly back across the ocean from Lanka during the battle with Ravana and bring these magical herbs back for Lakshman, who has been struck by one of the demons. So that's the image of Hanuman, bringing the magical herbs that are going to revive Lakshman. I've often thought about how these names that we're singing, these mantras that we're chanting, are the medicine. And this is what's going to help us. So that's what's in his mountain. And then Kandhe Munjajaneo Saje, which is, you can't actually see it here because he's wearing all these clothes, at least I can't see it, but It's what's often referred to is a thread that will be over his shoulder, and that's a reminder of our connection with God. That's what that is. Shankara Suvana Kesari Nandan Teja Pratapa Mahajagavandan. So here we go back to what I was saying about how he's considered the son of Shiva. Another name for Shiva is Shankar, and Keshari is his Vanara father. Vidyavana Guni Ati Chatur Rama Kaja Karibeko Atur. You are the wisest of the wise, virtuous and clever, and eager to do Ram's work. Prabhu Charitra Sunibeko Rasya Rama Lakhana Sita Manavasya. You delight in the hearing of the Lord's deeds. So this is one of the aspects of Bhakti Yoga that I mentioned before, which is remembering and telling the stories of the divine. Ram, Sita and Lakshman dwell in your heart. So there's an image of Ram. He's singing the praises of Sri Ram, and you can see Ram and Sita behind him. Sukshma Rupa Dhari Siya Hindi Khava, Bikata Rupa Dhari Lanka Jarava. Assuming a tiny form, you appeared to Sita, and in an awesome form, you burned Lanka. So this is a part of the story of the Ramayana again. After Hanuman finds Sita, because he does, in Ravana's garden where she's been held captive, because she has not actually met him before, he takes the form, a tiny form, they say the form of a mosquito, but it could even be a subtle form. That's another way of referring to Sukshma Rup. And then when she begins to understand who he is, he then presents himself in his form as a regular Vanara. And later on, when he decides to go back to tell Ram that he's found Sita, because he doesn't actually take Sita back to Ram, he only finds out who she is and helps Sita calm her heart and calm her mind, because she's completely distraught. He actually does get captured by Ravana at that point, before he gets back to Sri Ram. Because he's going as a messenger to Ravana and saying, just give up Sita at this point. Ram is so benevolent and so kind, he will still give you blessings. But Ravana was so full of himself that was not even enough for him. And so he has Hanuman tied up, and Hanuman pretends that he can't break those bonds, but in fact he can. And he then, they light a fire to his tail. This is how the way in which the demons want to show Ram like they have the power. But Hanuman, of course, can escape, and he flies over Lanka, and he burns the whole city of Lanka before he reaches Sri Ram. Of course, not all of the demons are killed, because Sri Ram comes back and there's a whole battle afterward as well. Bhima Rupadhari Asura Sanghare Ramachandra Ke Kaja Samhare. Taking a dreadful form, you slaughtered the demons. Okay, so this was later on in the battle. Laya Sajivana Lakhana Jiyai Shri Raghuvira Harashi Uralai. So this is, going back to this image of Hanuman, where he's brought the mountain with the magical herb. And it makes a reference here to, in the next verse, Raghupati kinhi bahuta barai, tuma mama priya bharatahi samabhai. The Lord of the Raghus, who is Ram, praised you greatly. You are as dear to me as my brother Bharat. So Bharat is the younger brother who is back in Ayodhya, ruling the kingdom. This is a beautiful image that you see often of Sri Ram with Hanuman. Sahasa badantu maroja sagave, asakahi Shripati kantha lagave. Sanakadika brahmadi munisa, narada sharada sahita ahisa. So these are more verses about singing the fame of Hanuman. Yamakubera digapala jahante, kabiko bidekahi sake kahante. So the god of death and the poets and the guardians of all the four quarters, they express your glory. Tuma upakara sugriva hinkina, Rama milaya rajapadadina. You did great service for Sugriva. Bringing him to Ram, you gave him kingship. So that is the story of what happens in Kishkinda, actually, which is Ram's home, where Sugriva is restored to the throne. So that's another story. We won't get into that right now. Tumaro mantra vibhishana mana, Lankeshwara bhai sabha jagajana. Vibhishana is actually the brother of Ravana, who is the 10-headed demon, as we know. But he is not a demon in the same way. And there's a beautiful part in the Ramcharitmanas when Hanuman actually first arrives in Lanka, and he's trying to find Sita. And one of the things he sees is a small hut, and it has a tulsi grove, and he understands that as the home of a being who worships Vishnu, because tulsi is considered the sacred wood or the sacred tree, who is actually the goddess herself in the form of Shri. But he recognizes that this is a home that will be friend to him, and that's where Vibhishana lives. And ultimately he finds Sita by heading to the Ashoka garden. This is just another image of Hanuman I wanted to show you. There's so many ways in which he's depicted, but this is him talking to Vibhishana. Verse 18. Yuga sahasra yojana parabhanu leelyon tahi madhura phalajanu. Though the sun is millions of miles away, you swallowed it, thinking it to be a fruit. So this is a verse that we can refer back to. It's part of Hanuman's story. He was born with these superpowers, and because he didn't really know how to use them well with a certain amount of discernment, he got himself into a lot of trouble by jumping up into the sky and wanting to swallow the sun. He gets struck down by Indra. He also goes into the forest and disturbs the practices of the rishis while they're doing their practice. And so he's actually cursed to forget his powers, which is important to remember because later on in the story, after he has met Sri Ram and they have found out that Sita could be in Lanka, and they're at the tip of India, and they have this whole ocean that they have to cross in order to get to Lanka. It is actually Jambavan, one of the other Vanaras, who's a bear-like being, who reminds Hanuman of his superpowers, because when the rishis curse him, they say, you will only be able to access those powers again once you are reminded. So that's what happens later on in the story. Prabhu mudrika mele mukhamahi, jaladhi langi gai achara janahi, holding the Lord's ring in your mouth. It's no surprise that you leapt over the ocean. So after Hanuman is reminded of his strength, Sri Ram says, go and find Sita and bring her this ring, because she will then recognize that he is actually Ram's messenger, because at this point she can't trust anybody where she is at the moment, because she's absolutely tormented in the Ashoka garden. Ravana goes to her every day, asking her to be with him, because even though he's kidnapped her, he won't take her by force. He wants her to want him. And so he keeps going back to her and saying, I can give you this, I can give you this, could you be with me? And she says, the only one for me is Sri Ram, that's it. Ultimately, at the end, he gets pretty mad and he threatens her. But Hanuman comes just in time. But this is what he does. He's carrying this ring, and I just want to show you, this image is of the Hanumanji that is from Tao's temple, and it's a picture that I took when I was there for Hanuman Jayanti last year. And he's so beautifully dressed here in orange, but you can see the little ring in his hand here. Yeah, it says Ram on it. So I'll just read a little passage from the Ramcharitmanas when Hanumanji, after he takes his regular form, he takes a tiny form, sits in a tree, and then jumps down once Sita recognizes who he is. And he says to her, Hanuman says that this is his message. This is what's going to happen in the Ramcharitmanas. I'll read this passage for you. Sri Ram stroked his head. So this is when Hanuman is just about to jump over the ocean and go and find Sita, because he remembers his powers. Sri Ram stroked his head with his lotus hand, and recognizing him to be his devotee, gave him the ring of his finger. And he says to Hanuman, "Comfort Sita in various ways, and return quickly after telling her of my might and the agony of my heart due to separation from her." Hanuman felt that he had reaped the reward of his birth and departed with the image of the All-Merciful enshrined in his heart. So this little passage just says so much here about Sri Ram's own pain of separation from Sita, and the love that he shows to Hanuman, and the trust that he shows in him to give him this ring, to give to Sita. And then the message to Sita to calm Sita herself. And then Hanuman's own feeling of his heart sort of bursting with love by being entrusted to this duty to serve the divine. So there's so much in this little verse, and the whole book is full of this kind of thing. But this really touched me when I heard this. Verse 20, Durgama kaja jagatake jete, sugama anugraha tumare tete. Every difficult task in this world becomes easy by your grace. So this was a verse that Siddhima said to me all the time. Whenever I went to her with any trouble, she would bring this up. And her instructions to me always were, Tum socho mat, paat karo. I mean, don't think, do your prayers. That was her answer for everything. Of course, she had very simple instructions also that were helpful for me. But ultimately, when you want to find the answer inside your own heart, this is what she recommended to do. Rama duare tumara kavare ho tana agya binupe zare. You are the guardian of Ram's door. No one enters without your permission. Sab sukha lahe tumhari sharana, tumarakshak kahu ko darna. Those who take refuge in you find all happiness. Those who you protect know no fear. Apana teja samharo ape, tino lo kahankate kanpe. You alone can withstand your own splendor. The three worlds tremble at your roar. So here we see Hanuman with his hands folded in prayer. But we also see him like this, carrying the mountain, as you saw in the statue that I showed you of earlier, the Murti. And here's another image of Hanuman as the warrior with all his weapons of compassion. And I think it's, many of these Indian deities are depicted in this way with weapons, but all these weapons are to remove our own negativities, not for anything else. Bhuta pisacha nikat nahi ave, Mahabhira jabanam sunave. Ghosts and goblins cannot come near, great hero, when your name is uttered. Remember that when you have a nightmare in the middle of the night and get up and chant the Hanuman Chalisa, they'll go away. Nase roga hare sabapira, japata nirantara hanumantabira. All disease and pain is eradicated by constantly repeating your name, brave Hanuman. So here are the qualities of Hanuman, where he's a reliever of difficulties, Sankat Mochan, or Veer Hanuman. Veer is the one who is courageous. So this, like I was saying to you before, the army worships him in India as their Ishta Devata, which is the deity with which they call together, they invoke their prayers toward. And also we've heard of him as the wisest of the wise. So he has all these aspects that we have in ourselves that we want to invoke at all times, in how we accept and react to things that come to us. Sankata te Hanuman chudave, manakram bachana dhyan jo alave. Hanuman, you release from affliction all those who remember you in thought, word, and deed. So I have a few friends who are actually have the coronavirus right now, and I'm sure you all do, and are quarantined and alone. And you know, it's important to remember that the chanting of these prayers and verses like this are to help us live in this space where we're dealing with all these things. It might not cure us instantly, but whenever we went to Siddhima with any kind of issue, any kind of affliction of any sort, she would say, chant the Hanuman Chalisa. Ask Hanuman for his benevolence and his compassion. Sabapara Rama tapasvi raja, tinike kaja sakala tumasaja. Aura manorat jo koi lave, soya mita jivana palapave. So here's that verse again, where we obtain the abundance of the four fruits of life. So Hanuman not only opens our hearts, he gives us what our heart desires. Charon yuga paratapa tumhara, he parasiddha jagata ujiyara. Sadhu santake tuma rakhaware, asura nikandana rama dulare. Ashta siddhino nidike data, asabaradina janaki mata. Rama rasayana tumare pasa, sada raho raghupati ke dasa. You hold the elixir of Ram's name and remain eternally his servant. So this is an image of Sri Ram again, always holding Sri Hanuman, always holding the image of Sri Ram in his heart. Tumare bhajan Ram ji ko pave, janam janam ke dukha bisarave. Singing your praise, one finds Ram, and the sorrows of countless lives are destroyed. Anta kala raghubara purajai, jahan janma hari bhakta kahai. At death one goes to Ram's own abode, born there as God's devotee. Aur devata chittana dharihi, Hanumanta sei sarva sukha kare. This is not sort of a lobby for only worship Hanuman. It just means that if it's all that you can do, Hanuman will be there for you. Sankata kate mite sabapira, jo sumire Hanumanta balabira. All affliction ceases and all pain is removed for those who remember the mighty hero Hanuman. Jai 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 Hanumana Gosai, Kripa Karahu Gurudeva Kinai. Jo Shatabar Kaat Pata Karakoi, Chutai Bandi Mahasukha Hoy. Jo Yaha Pade Hanuman Chalisa, Hoya Siddhi Saki Gaurisa. Tulasi Dasa Sada Hari Chera, Ki Je Nata Hridaya Mahadera. So all these verses are just talking about the strength of Hanuman to help us get through everything. And we just have to keep invoking these aspects of Hanuman to wake up the same in our own selves. And then finally we invite Hanuman to come live in our hearts. Pavanatanaya Sankata Harana Mangala Murati Rup. So Sankat means sorrow. Sankat Mochan means destroyer of sorrow. Son of the wind, destroyer of sorrow, embodiment of blessings. Rama Lakhana Sita Sahita, Hridaya Basohu Surabhu. Come live in my heart with Ram, Lakshman and Sita. So I just want to mention a little bit, I talked about this earlier, about this image of Ram, Lakshman, Sita and Hanuman being called Ram Parivar, which means the family of Ram. I've always seen this image, just like I showed you before in the beginning, which is like this. In this you also have the other brothers, but what's common is to see Ram, Lakshman, Sita and Hanuman together. And I recently listened to Robbie Svoboda talking about this, and he said that this representation actually is a way of looking at our own bodies, our physical body, but also our subtle body, and calling all of those energies and strength together so that we can recognize this divine being that is us. So he described it as saying that Ram in this case, and in all cases, is the indwelling spirit, okay, of our being. Lakshman is known as the power of concentration. That's how you see him. And even as a character in the Ramayana, you'll see like he's very focused always on what he has to do at that moment. And he springs into action just like that. So that Lakshman. Sita is, as I mentioned earlier, she is the manifestation of the feminine, which in the Indian tradition is known as Shakti. And so that is the actual physical power of the divine being. So that's Shakti, that's our own strength. And Hanuman is considered the life force, the very breath of Ram. Okay? And he is ever present in us. We don't have to think about breathing. He's there. We just have to access that life force. So that's a sort of a little bit of a telling of the story behind the verses that we'll chant. And I want to get to the chanting. I guess we've spent a lot of time talking. And so let me do that right now. So let's take our sheet and we'll do this as call and response. We'll go through the words together. Okay. I was going to call my little assistant over here to help. Just give me 1 second. Just step over this. Okay, so this is my daughter Uma, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a line and she's going to repeat, and you please repeat with her. Okay, and then we'll sing it together as well. But I thought it would be a good way for us to go through the pronunciation in a way that could be helpful for all of you. Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja.
Shri Guru Charana Saro Rajaja.
Saroja Raja.
Saroja Raja.
Lena, I'm sorry to
Yes.
interrupt you. They're asking which sheet should they refer to?
This is, you can use, it would be good if they use the transliteration with the Devanagari in it, because I'm going to refer to some of the diacritical marks here. If you can. If you find that too complicated, don't worry about it. It's okay. Let's start again. Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja.
Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja.
So the dot under the N is like a na. It's a strange kind of an N that we don't really have. But if you look at the transliteration text that I gave you in the beginning, you can see that the similar pronunciation would be like when we say under. It's a slight rolling of the tongue. Okay? So, Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Nija Manna Mukuru Sudhari.
Nija Mana Mukura Sudhari.
Barano Raghubara Bimala Jaso
Bharano Raghubara Bhimala Jaso.
Jodayaku Palachari.
Jodayaka Palachari.
Okay? So one thing I want to just say about the A's that are at the end of these words, which don't have a line across the top, it's like a short as opposed to Okay? Buddhihina Tanujanike
Buddhihina Tanujanike.
Sumiron Pavana Kumar.
Sumirao Pavana Kumar.
Bala Buddhi Vidya Dehumuhi
Bala Buddhi Vidya Dehumohi.
Harahu Kalesha Bikar.
Harahu Kalesha Bhikar.
Siyavara Ramachandra Padajay Sharanam.
Siyavara Ramachandra Padajaya Sharanam.
Okay, so you see here in the Siya, it's like a long A, and Ram is like a long A, but Pada is not Pada, it's Pada. Jaya Hanuman Jnana Gunasagar.
Jaya Hanuman Jnana Guna Sagar.
Jaya Kapisha Tihun Loka Ujagar.
Jaya Kapisha Tihun Loka Ujagar.
Ramaduta Atulita Baladhama.
Ramaduta Atulita Baladhama.
Anjani Putra Pavana Sutanama.
Anjani Putra Pavana Sutanama.
Mahavira Bikram Bajarangi.
Mahabhira Bikram Bajarangi.
Kumati Nivara Sumati Ke Sangi.
Kumati Nivara Sumati Ke Sangi.
Kanchana Barana Biraja Subesha.
Kanchana Bharana Biraja Subesa.
Kanana Kundala Kunchita Kesa.
Kanana Kundala Kunchita Kesa.
Hata Vajra or Dvaja Biraje.
Hata Vajra O Dvaja Biraje.
Kandhe Muja Janeyo Saje.
Khande Munja Jane O Saje.
Shankara Suvana Kesari Nandana.
Shankara Suvana Kesari Nandana.
Teja Pratapa Maha Jagabandana.
Teja Pratapa Maha Jagabandana.
So I just want to draw your attention here to the T's and the D's, because they're going to be like this all the way through. T is not so much like T, it's more like it's T. You put your tongue up against the back of your teeth, and the transliteration instruction is like. Do you see the T?
T is in train.
No, that's with the dot underneath. They don't actually have it here because we don't have that sound.
Ta, as in.
Now that's a hard T. That's a different one. Oh. Okay, so we're just going to do a T. It's like a soft T. And the D is the, not D. It's a different kind of a sound. Okay? But I'll show you when it is like that. So Shankara Suvana Kesari Nandana. Go ahead.
Shankara Suvana Kesari Nandana.
Teja Pratapa Maha Jagabandana.
Teja Pratapa Maha Jagabandana.
Vidyavana Guni Ati Chatur.
Vidyavana Guni Ati Chatura.
Rama Kaja Karibe Ko Atur.
राम काज करिबे को आतुर
प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया
प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया
राम लखन सीता मन बसिया
राम लखन सीता मन बसिया
सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सिया ही दिखावा
सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सिया हिंदी कावा
बिकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा
बिकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा.
So here you can see the DH is different from just D. D would be the, and in this case it's slightly aspirated, it's the. Okay? Again, don't get crazy about this, I'm just pointing it out because people ask me about pronunciation. So just do the best, it's not a big deal. And then in Bikata, you see the T, instead of saying ta, it's ta, ta, with the dot underneath it. Bikata rupa dhari lanka jarava. So lanka, the N has a dot underneath it, so it's langka jarava. Bhima rupa dhari asura sanghare.
भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे
रामचंद्र जी के काज संवारे.
रामचंद्र जी के काज संवारे.
So it's sung like nasal
संहा
because it has the dot on top of the N, right? So Ramachandra ke kaaj sangware. Laya sajivan lakhana jiyaye.
लाय सजीवन लखन जियाई
Shri Raghuveera harashi uralaye.
श्री रघुवीर हरषि उरलाई
Raghupati कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई.
रघुपति कीन्हीन बहुत बड़ाई
तुम मम प्रिय भरत ही समभाई.
तुम मम प्रिय भरत ही समभाई
सहसा बदन तुम रोजस गावे.
सहस बदन तुम रोजस गावी
अस कही श्रीपति कंठ लगावे.
अस कही श्रीपति कंठ लगावे
सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा.
सनकादिक ब्रह्माधि मुनीसा
नारद शारद सहित अहिसा.
नारद शारद सहित हीसा
यम कुबेर दिगपाल जहांते.
यम कुबेर दिगपाल जहांते
कभी को बिद कहि सके कहांते.
कवि को विद कह सके कहांते
तुम उपकार सुग्रीव कीना.
तुम उपकार सुग्रीव कीना
राम मिलाय राजपद दीना.
राम मिलाय राजपद दीना
तुमरो मंत्र विभीषण माना.
तुमरो मंत्र विभीषण माना
लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना.
लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना
युग सहस्र योजन पर भानु.
युग सहस्र योजन पर भानु
लील्यों ताहि मधुर फल जानु.
लील्योता ही मधुर पल जानु
प्रभु मुद्रिका मेले मुख माहि.
प्रभु मुद्रिका मिलि मुख माहि
जलधि लांगी गए अचरज नाही.
जलधि लांगी गए अचरज नाही
दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते.
दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते
सुगम अनुग्रह तुमरे तेते.
सुगम अनुग्रह तुमरे तेते
राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे.
राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे
होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे.
हो तना आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे
सब सुख लाहे तुम्हारी शरणा.
सब सुख लाहे तुम्हारी शरणा
तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना.
तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना
आपन तेज सम्हारो आपे.
आपन तेज समारो आपे
तीनों लोक हांकते कांपे.
तीनों लोक हंकते कांपे
भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे.
भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे
महावीर जब नाम सुनावे.
महावीर जब नाम सुनावे
नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा.
नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा
जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा.
जपत निरंतर हनुमत बी
संकट से हनुमान छुड़ावे,
संकट से हनुमान छुड़ावे,
मन क्रम बचन ध्यान जो लावे,
मन क्रम बचन ध्यान जो लावे,
सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा,
सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा,
तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा,
तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा,
और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे,
और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे,
सोए अमित जीवन फल पावे,
सोए अमित जीवन पल पावे,
चारों युग परताप तुम्हारा,
चारों युग परताप तुम्हारा,
है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा,
हे प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा,
साधु संत के तुम रखवारे,
साधु संत के तुम रखवारे,
असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे,
असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे,
अष्ट सिद्धि नौ निधि के दाता,
अष्ट सिद्धि नौ निधि के दाता,
असबर दीन जानकी माता,
असबर दीन जानकी माता,
राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा,
राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा,
सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा,
सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा,
तुम्हारे भजन राम जी को पावे,
तुम्हारे भजन राम जी को पावे,
जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे,
जन्म जन्म
जन्म जन्म के
जन्म जन्म हरि नो जन्म
जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे,
जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे,
अंत काल रघुबर पुर जाए,
अंत काल रघुबरपुर जाई,
जहन जन्म हरि भक्त कहाए,
जहन जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई,
और देवता चित्तन धरही,
और देवता चित्तन धरई,
हनुमत से ही सर्व सुख करई,
हनुमत से ही सर्व सुख करई,
संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा,
संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा,
जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा,
जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा,
जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई,
जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई,
कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई,
कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई,
जो शत बार पाठ कर कोई,
जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई,
चूट ही बंदी महा सुख होय,
छूट ही बंदी महा सुख होई,
जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा,
जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा,
होया सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा,
होया सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा,
तुलसीदास सदा हरिचेरा,
तुलसीदास सदा हरिचेरा,
कीजे नाथ हृदय महडेरा,
की जयनाथ हृदय महादेरा,
पवन तनाय संकट हरना,
पवन तनाय संकट हरना,
मंगल मूर्ति रूप,
मंगल मूर्ति रूप,
राम लखन सीता सहिता,
राम लखन सीता सहिता,
हृदय बसहु सुरभूप,
हृदय बसौ सुरभूप,
सियावर रामचंद्र पद जय शरणम,
सियावर रामचंद्र पद जय शरणम,
मंगल मूर्ति मारुत नंदन,
मंगल मूर्ति मारुत नंदन,
सकल अमंगल मूल निकंदन.
सकल अमंगल मूल निकंदन.
So you can see, it's not so easy to perfect everything, and I'm not even sure if I'm perfect, but the main thing is to just do it as best as you can. What I thought we could do is, we could sing, where I sing the line, and then I'll play and you sing the response. So we'll do each line twice. Does that sound? I don't know. I'm going to say, you're nodding. Okay, I see thumbs up. This is good. Okay. And for those of you who must leave at 4 o'clock, I'm really sorry that we've gone over, but please feel free to stay. And I do want to have questions and things afterwards, but also remember that there is a recording. Okay, so you will have that.
Will you hold these sheets and like point to the line? Because I forget when I say, okay. You know what I mean? So you don't want me to play cards, just
Not for this one.
okay.
So I'll sing the line and then you sing the responses.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have to. You can sing softly-ish. Sorry. Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Nija Mana Mukur Sudhari
Shri Guru Charana Saroj Raja Nij Mana Mukur Sudhari
Parano Raghubar Bhimala Jasu Jodayaku Phalachari
Bharano Raghubar Bhimala Jasu Jodaya Kupalachari
बुद्धहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरों पवन कुमारा
बुद्धिहीन तनु जानके सुमिरो पवन कुमारा
बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु क्लेश विकार
बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु क्लेश विकार
सियावर रामचंद्र पद जय शरणम
सियावर रामचंद्र पद जय शरणम
जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीश तिहु लोक उजागर
जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीश तिहु लोक उजागर
रामदूत तुलित बलधाम अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नाम
रामदूत तुलित बलधाम अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नाम
महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी
महावीर विक्रम भजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी
कंचन वरण विराज सुवेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा
कंचन वरण विराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा
हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे कांडे मुज जनेऊ साजे
हाथ वज्र ध्वजा विराजे कंडे मुंज जनेऊ साजे
शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन
शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन
विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर
विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर
प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया
प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया
सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सिया दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा
सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सिया दिखाव विकट रूप धरि लंक जराव
भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे रामचंद्र जी के काज संवारे
भीम
रूप धरि असुर संहारे, रामचंद्र जी के काज संवारे।
लाया सजीवन लखन जियाय, श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए।
लाया सजीवन लखन जियाय, श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए।
रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरत सम भाई।
रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरत सम भाई।
सहस बदन तुम रोजस गावे, अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे।
सहस बदन तुम रोजस गावे, अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे।
सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा, नारद शारद सहिताहीसा।
सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा, नारद शारद सहित ईसा।
यम कुबेर दिगपाल जहांते, कवि कोविद कह सके कहांते।
यम कुबेर दिगपाल जहांते, कवि कोविद कहि सके कहांते।
तुम उपकार सुग्रीवन कीना, राम मिलाय राजपद दीना।
तुम उपकार सुग्रीवहि कीना, राम मिलाय राजपद दीना।
तुमरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना।
तुमरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना।
युग सहस्र योजन पर भानु, लील्यों ताहि मधुर फल जानु।
युग सहस्र योजन पर भानु, लील्यों ताहि मधुर फल जानु।
प्रभु मुद्रिका मिले मुख माहि, जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाहि।
प्रभु मुद्रिका मिले मुख माहि, जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाहि।
दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हारे तेते।
दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हारे तेते।
राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे, होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे।
राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे, होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे।
सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी शरण, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना।
सब सुख लाए तुम्हारी शरण, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना।
आपन तेज समारो आपे, तीनों लोक हांकते कांपे।
आपन तेज समारो आपे, तीनों लोक हांकते कांपे।
भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे।
भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे।
नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा।
नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा।
संकट से हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे।
संकट से हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम भजन ध्यान जो लावे।
सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा।
सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साज।
और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोए अमित जीवन फल पावे।
और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोए अमित जीवन फल पावे।
चारों युग प्रताप तुम्हारा, है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा।
चारों युग प्रताप तुम्हारा, हे प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा।
साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे।
साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निखंडन राम दुलारे।
अष्ट सिद्धि नौ निधि के दाता, असबर दीन जानकी माता।
अष्ट सिद्धि नौ निधि के दाता, असबर दीन जानकी माता।
राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा।
राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा।
तुम्हारे भजन राम जी को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे।
तुम्हारे भजन राम जी को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे।
अंत काल रघुवरपुर जाए, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाए।
अंत काल रघुवरपुर जाए, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाए।
और देवता जेठन डरहि, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करहि।
और देवता चित्तन धराई, हनुमत से सर्व सुख कराई।
संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा।
संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा।
जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाय।
जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई।
जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई, झूठई बंदी महासुख होय।
जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई, छूटई बंदी महासुख होय।
जो यहाँ पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होया सिद्धि साकी गौरीसा।
जो यहाँ पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होय सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा।
तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, कीजे नाथ हृदय महडेरा।
तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, कीजे नाथ हृदय मंदिरा।
पवन तनय संकट हरण, मंगल मूर्ति रूपा।
पवन तनय संकट हरण, मंगल मूर्ति रूपा।
राम लखन सीता सहिता, हृदय बसहु सुरभूप। सियावर रामचंद्र पद जय शरणम, राम लखन
सीता सहिता, हृदय बसहु सुरभूप। सियावर रामचंद्र पद जय शरणम।
मंगल मूर्ति मारुत नंदन, सकल मंगल मूल निधन।
मंगल मूर्ति मारुत नंदन, सकल मंगल मूल निधन।
श्री 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 बजरंग बली हनुमान की जय। So, I think maybe why don't we do some questions now, if you have questions, and then we'll sing one more together at the end. So if you have any questions, you can do the thing where you go down to your bar at the bottom, and there's a way to raise your hand if you have questions. I'll give you a couple of minutes to find that. If not, it's okay, we'll just sing. Oh, I see one, hold on. Hamilton? We're just going to unmute you, hold on. Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Jayashree.
Jashi.
Thank you so much for the... Can you hear me well?
I can hear you fine.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the wonderful experience so far. I have probably too many questions, so I will try to keep them quite simple. Something about the stories of Hanuman regarding the actual name. I've just been reading a book about different stories, and there's so many stories. And one part is about this part when he was a young sort of boy or so, and he was flying to the sun. His jaw got broken, according to a thunder. So I was just wondering if you can go a bit more into that story of the name, about the broken jaw thing, and also I was not aware. I haven't I was reading writing this note about the four Kama, Moksha, Dharma, and
Artha.
Yes, I was wondering if you can go a bit more into that sort of concept, because I was never aware that is into the Raman sort of story too.
Okay, so the story of Hanuman, Hanu apparently means jaw. That's how he got the name Hanuman. And it happened when he jumped up into the sky to swallow the sun. And one second. Do you want to go and come back? Sure. Okay. She's going to go away for a little bit. And Indra, who is the god who rules all the elements and the planets, was upset with him for having done that. And he apparently struck him with a thunderbolt, and he fell to the ground. But it hit him here. And so that's all that I really know about the story. That's same as you. I don't know much else about the name. That's all that I know. And the four fruits of life, I'm going to suggest, if you can find this book online,
Okay.
I'll also write this in the description. You can probably get it, but he goes a little bit deeper into what those four fruits of life are: Dharma, Kama, Artha, and Moksha. Because I think that's outside of the Hanuman Chalisa sort of realm at the moment. But I'll send it to you so that you can read up more about that.
The name of the book?
It's just called Hanuman Chalisa by Swami Tejomayananda. Yeah, and it's printed by the Chinmaya Mission, so you might find that.
Yes. Wonderful. I have a colleague of mine also. She was the one that referred me to. We actually, I'm in Norway. My colleague also is taking this course via online, and we happened to find a song that you were doing with Krishna Das about a week ago, and my colleague, helped me find the course for this chant that you were doing with him. Beautiful, and it seems like the chord that you're playing now in the harmonium is
Same.
what you were doing previously. So I was just wondering, maybe if you can share when I know the chords later when you send information. We play harmonium too, so it's a beautiful chord, and it's
Okay.
just so lovely.
So, yeah, that's from my Ocean of Ram Hanuman Chalisa from my first CD. It's called Ocean of Ram, and I asked Krishnas to sing with me on that. Yeah. So write me an email, Hamilton. Let me send that to you separately, because that's a whole other. I'll email you separately. Okay. Thank you for joining us from Norway. I hope I come there someday.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Okay, so I have Jennifer. Jennifer, are you there?
Yes, I am. I can't have my camera on because the audio of you is horrible when my camera's on, so I apologize for that.
Acha. Okay, no problem.
But I do really appreciate you're so gracious in your time of giving so much. I do have a question. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nothing, go ahead. That's fine.
Okay, so at the end, I've heard this before, at the end of the Chalisa, there's something like a little prayer that's said afterwards. I've heard it on the Hanuman Chalisa Taos recording.
Who's singing it?
Jay Utal.
Jay Utal? I don't know what he's singing.
It's just a short little thing at the end, and I've heard it frequently with Hanuman Chalisa.
And I
They refer to Neem Karoli Baba.
Oh,
and I also heard it on Arti from the temple in Taos.
Oh, okay. So those are just like little. So it's traditional in India, like after you've done puja or any kind of prayer, there are these things, they call them ki jays. I think that's what you're referring to.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah, so I said a couple of them after I finished singing. I said, Shri 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 Neem Karoli Santa Maharaj Ki Jai. Or Shri 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 Bajrang Bali Hanuman Ki Jai. So these are just ways to again praise, and with a lot of gusto. That's all that is. This, different people.
I love those.
Ones. You love them?
I do. It's like rallying the troops.
It is, and there's so many of them. There's like Shri Lakshmi Narayan Bhagavan Jai, Shri Umapati Mahadev Jai. There are lots of them. Yeah.
Can you add some of those? Because I'd like to add them when I do puja. I'd be grateful.
You want me to add the text for you?
Yeah, I'd be so grateful.
Okay, Sarina. Sarina's making notes of all the things I have to send to people. Okay, sure. Great.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you so much.
I have Mars.
Hello, namaskar.
Namaskar.
Hello, Nina. Thank you so much for giving us your time and your energy for this session, which has been really refreshing and really wonderful.
I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I was really eager to have this experience. My question is for myself, for my personal practice, but also for my community, as I see a growing interest in my community for learning chanting and the power of mantra. So my question is, could you share with us what it is, whether it's in general or for you, the key for sharing, for teaching mantra, or the key for sharing the spiritual power of chanting the mantra?
Where do you live, Mars? Where do you live?
Mexico.
Mexico. I love Mexico.
It's really wonderful.
Yeah, I go there and I feel like I'm in my own home.
Yeah.
So I have to say, like, I didn't study mantra formally. I didn't go to a school to study mantra. My first experience with chanting was actually with my grandfather as a child, when I was young. And he was an amazing guy who was a natural musician, but he was very super devotional, and we always had puja in our home. That was a big part of the way we grew up. And so I had my first experience of resonating with mantra when I was very, very young. But then I lived in the West and my parents traveled a lot, and we didn't really have a chance to do a lot of practice of mantra practice at all. And in fact, the next time that I started chanting afterwards was with Krishna Das in America. So it's, I guess, for me, it's just been part of the journey of following a being on a spiritual path, which I didn't even know that I wanted until I first started chanting. By accident, I did a yoga class, and Krishnadas was chanting at this yoga class, and I remembered the feeling I had when I chanted as a child. It was just a feeling, and I trusted that feeling, and I just went with it, and I kept chanting with Krishnadas, and then as I kept chanting with him, it came back to me, my desire to do this chanting on my own. I didn't know. I mean, I'm not a musician, so I don't have any practice in chanting. I don't write music or anything like that. Any practice in music, and I don't write music. But melodies would come to me, and I started chanting them. And because I was doing Hanuman Chalisa so regularly, I found melodies that suited my voice, and so I started to chant them. And then what happened was so many of us enjoyed chanting it that we used to sit at home and chant together. So it wasn't really teaching. Like, I never thought of it as teaching, that I learned something that I want to teach. It's more about, I started sharing it with my community, and I found that if you just find a place where you can, maybe a yoga studio or some place where people will want to chant, they'll join you. And that's the only thing I would suggest for you. Yeah.
Sounds very good. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. We have Kurt.
Yeah, I just have a real quick question.
Hi, Kurt.
Hi. Thank you so much. This is really wonderful.
Sure.
I think you said that you were going to recommend a shorter version or a different version of the Ramayana.
Mm-hmm. You want me to say it now?
Yes.
Okay. So there are abridged versions that are not actual translations. So one of my favorite ones is written by William Buck. And you can get it on any bookstore. It's printed in America. It's just called Ramayana, and it's by William Buck. I love that one. And another one I love is by Ramesh Menon. It's a little longer, a little bit more in detail. I like that one very much too. So I would recommend those. Yeah. Anything else?
Thank you. No, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, sure, great. And then we have Paul.
Yes. Hi, Nina. This is Ellen and Paul.
Hi,
together.
Ellen and Paul together, and not being seen.
Right.
Okay.
My question is about the different melodies for the Hanuman Chalisa.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering how many there are and if they serve different purposes, like is one for RT or and how they came about.
That's a good question. You know, when I started enjoying the Hanuman Chalisa, I kept looking for, this was prior to the days of Spotify and Apple Music, where you could find everything online, and even YouTube back then. I went to the Indian stores out here in New York City, and where we get groceries, and they also had some Indian musicians who had recordings. And as I listened to the Indian musicians, I saw that they were following the classical method of using melodies or that are derived from ragas from Indian classical music. And inherently, ragas from Indian classical music have moods of their own. You know, there's morning ragas, afternoon ragas, evening ragas, and night ragas, midnight ragas as well. And they each have different moods to them, and so people will use them as they need. So in the morning you might sing a particular tone that has more minor keys and things like this that I don't know anything about because I'm not a musician, but just by ear you can listen and see if you like it. And so the short answer to your question is, I don't think there are melodies for particular types of rituals you might be doing at that point. I think it's really a matter of what your mood is at that time. So you can do Hanuman Arti. Arti in general is kind of a big banging, clanging moment. You know, when you go to a puja, there's ringing the bell and there's gongs and conches and things like that. So you might want to sing a more upbeat type of Hanuman Chalisa, you know. But no, there's no formula about how you have to do it or any such thing. And the melodies that I sing are, I don't know where they come from. They're not necessarily traditional, and they're not necessarily not traditional. There's some form that came out of me in a particular way. But on my first CD, there is one of the Hanuman Chalisas is called Sundarkand Hanuman Chalisa. For those of you who don't know, I have a CD called Antarayami that I released in 2013. It's 2 discs, and the second disc has a number of different Hanuman Chalisa melodies. And one of them is called the Sundarkand Hanuman Chalisa melody, and I named it that because when I was in the temple in Rishikesh during some particular festival, Siddhima had these professional singers come and sing the whole Ramayana. This is what they do. It's so amazing. And all these verses in this book. And then they reached this particular chapter called the Sundarkand, which is also a very important part of the Ramcharitmanas that's chanted on its own. And these guys were singing it to this melody, and I loved it so much. It was so energetic. So I chose to sing the Hanuman Chalisa with that melody, you know. There was not really any formula per se or any rules. It was just what I felt like. And I think that's the case for anybody who wants to chant.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for being here. And I think I can't see with my glasses, but without my glasses. What's her name, Serena?
Her name is Kristen. She had to leave, so I can read her question to you if you'd like.
Oh, okay, sure.
She said, so very grateful for this time, Nina. I'm unable to stay. I would like to ask a question about pronunciation of the letter B, example verse 15. That would be Yamakubera Digapala Jahante, that verse. And
Kavi Kovida.
Kavi Kovida. So she's asking specifically about that word. They sound to be pronounced more like a V rather than a B, hoping to clarify Kovida or Kovida. Thank you.
That's a good question. And it's an interesting thing, like any language. There are exceptions, right? So actually in the Indian alphabet, in Devanagari, the B, like the B, looks very similar to a V, except for a single line. And often when you travel regionally in India, some people will pronounce a B like a V or a V like a B. It just depends where you are. And I think we've translated it here as a B in some cases and maybe a V in some place. So again, the short answer is do what rolls off your tongue more easily. Because that's why it's changed. It's like what makes it, roll off your tongue more easily. But you can use them interchangeably in this case for those words. So that was her question. I think it was, I don't remember, what was the verse number, Sarina?
15.
Verse 15, okay. So that's,
Sorry, one more about pronunciation. Can I?
Yeah.
This is William. His raised hand is not working. Can you please discuss the pronunciation from verse 21? Rama duare tuma rakhware hotana agya. Yeah, that's the word that he would like.
Okay, so the spelling is kind of spelt as, I think, A-J-N-A. And that's a kind of an odd way. Even the other word that's gyan, which means knowledge, is also spelt the same way with a J-N. And basically, if you wanted to very simply transliterate it in a way that was easy to understand, you would put a G and a Y together and make it gya. But it's slightly nasal also, so it's gyan. Like you can feel your nostrils pressing down a little bit, gyan. So that's the pronunciation for agya or jnana. Okay.
2 raised hands for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you want to take them?
Sure. Or you want to do it, or I'll do it?
You do it. Yeah.
Okay. So I can't read. I think her name is Anna. Anna, are you there?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
I sort of forgot. I had two questions. One was,
Okay.
it's autocorrect. I meant Maha Mantra. And my question is, it said that you can use each one as a mantra. Can you talk more about that? And is it the first line or both lines together?
Wait, where did you see that?
Like in the very last page of the one we were singing from, it says, people don't know. Every line of the Hanuman Chalisa is a Maha Mantra.
You're right. So Neem Karoli Baba said that, and maybe that's not there in the in the document. But basically what he's saying is that each syllable, each sound has the potency of a Mahamantra, which is what I was saying in the beginning about it being transformative. But the whole Hanuman Chalisa is also Mahamantra, the whole thing. So it's not really a recommendation that you choose one to chant, but certain things will pop up, like, when we were chanting Durga Makaja Jagatake Jete Sugama Anugraha Tumare Tete, that's verse 20. And that's the one where every difficult task is made easy by repeating your name.
Because what I'm coming from, which was my first question, is like, how would you, if you wanted, like I want to memorize it. So I would think, well, what if I take 2 lines and just keep repeating that to myself until I understand it? And then it sort of ties into this, like, what if I just use 2 lines as a mantra?
You can do that. You can do that with the ultimate goal of building up to all 40 verses, maybe, hopefully.
I guess so. I mean, you know it by heart, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people know it by heart. It's just a practice, and some people it takes longer than others, that's all. One thing I want to mention, and I don't have it here, but I'm going to ask my daughter to bring it in a second, but there's a friend of mine who made a book, and this might be helpful for people too, where she took the meaning of the verse and she made a visual out of it. So it's a drawing. So even though while you're chanting it, you don't have to read the English translation. You just see the image, and then you know what you're singing. That's kind of a nice thing to have. So I'll bring it over here. And if you want one, you can email me, and I have to mail it to you. It'll be a physical thing. But yeah, to answer your question, take a couple of verses, and of course you can use any part of it that you want. There's nothing harmful about it. But if you wanted to try and memorize it, you could do a couple of verses at a time on their own and then put them together, or build on the verses, so you go from 1-2 verses to 1-4 verses to 1-6 verses. It really depends on you. It's such an individual thing. That's what I'd suggest. Thanks for coming. Okay, I have Vinny.
Hi, Nina.
Hi, Vinny.
Thank you so much for this. This is like an incredible masterclass, and I just have a question. As when I first heard and then fell in love with the Chalisa, and then there was this yearning to want to learn it. I found it through Krishna Das, and there's a CD that he has, like Flow of Grace.
Yeah.
It has the slow version of him speaking it, and then a little bit of a quicker version just speaking. And that, I took 4 verses at a time, and that's how I began to listen to it over and over again. But when you're singing it, or when we hear it, it's just so much faster, and it's so easy just to, you feel like you're just never going to get it. So, I mean, I have the first 8 verses that I know, but it's when you look at all 40, it just seems so overwhelming. But when you talked about your practice, that every day that you just go ahead and speak it without any music, the music is removed, so that cadence isn't there, and there's no, you know, there's not this thing that I have to be caught up with in my head. So I liked when you spoke about that, and then how, you know, how is it that you do that, and then how can we, or how can I just do that without any of the without using it as a tool to beat myself up, I guess I'm trying to say. And my second question is, you know, I'm so in love with Antaryami, your album, to the point where I've taken the music and trying to find the chords for the harmonium. And I'm just wondering if that's something that you in the future will share with us as an audience, so we can all take that music and bring that to other people as well. Because it's like what that's done for my bhakti practice is amazing. So anyway, I really just wanted to say that and thank you, and I couldn't be more grateful.
Thanks, Vinny. Just email me separately and I'll send you the chords. If you know chords, which I don't, but somebody wrote them for me, so I can send them to you.
I have Jennifer's book.
Oh, good. Okay, Serena brought it. So this is, can you just, Serena, just page through it a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the cover looks like. And then she was so intent on learning the Hanuman Chalisa that she took, you can see on the top is the Devanagari, and then the same English transliteration is below the drawing, and then she has the translation at the very bottom in English. And if you start using that regularly, you'll see that her little drawing that she's made, and she made actually etchings, and she had this whole book printed, is basically the essence of the meaning of what you're chanting. And some people found that really helpful for really deepening their practice, and they carry this book around with them everywhere they go. And I have bought many copies from her, so I'm happy to send them to you if you email me, and I need to know where you are and all that stuff. So if you're interested in that, just send me an email and I will let you know. But so there's all 40 verses, each page is like that, and at the very end is just all the verses, so you can just refer to without the drawings. Okay? So Vinny, I just wanted to say that thank you about the CD. I'm glad that you like it. It's been around a while, and people find it helpful. So my email address, somebody is asking, what is it? Serena's typing it in the chat. Great. So as far as doing the spoken word recitation of the Hanuman Chalisa, it's an interesting thing because some people find it easier to learn the Hanuman Chalisa with a melody. And it's literally split down the middle, I think. There are some people who just cannot learn it by speaking it. And then there are those who find it easier to learn and to understand the pronunciation by not having the music. So I'd say that, try both ways. What I can do, maybe, is what I should do is just make a very simple recording of the spoken word. But it goes something like this. It has a slight cadence to it, but it's not really singing. So it's something like Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Nijamana Mukuru Sadari Bharano Raghubara Bimala Jasu Jodaya Kupalachari Buddhihina Tanujanike Sumiro Pavana Kumar Balabuddhi Vidya Dehu Muhi Haru Klesha Vikar. So it's a little sing-songy. I don't know, maybe that's helpful, maybe it's not. But that's how I do my recitation in the morning. Okay, so I think everybody has raised their hands. Would you like to sing one more, or shall we call it a day and you do the should we sing some more? Are people still there, Serena?
There's 48 people still here.
Okay, let's do one more Hanuman Chalisa together. and then we'll say goodbye. So this is my daughter Uma, who also sings on this first album that Vinny was talking about. Do you have the cartels? Yeah. Sorry. And she sang that when she was 9, but she's not 9 anymore. Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Nij Mana Mukur Sudhari Bharano Raghubara Bimala Jasu Jodaya Kupala Chari Budhina Tanu Janike Sumero Pavana Kumara Bala Buddhi Vidya Dehu Mohi Harahu Kalesha Vikara Siyavara Ramachandra Pada Jai Sharana Jaya Hanuman Jnana Guna Sagar Jaya Kapisha Tinu Loka Ujagar Ramaduta Tulta Baladhama Anjani Putra Pavana Sutanama Mahavira Vikrama Bajarangi Kumati Nivara Sumati Kesangi Kanchana Varana Viraja Subesa Kalana Kundala Kunchita Kesa Hata Vajra Odvaja Viraje Kande Munja Jane Osaje Shankara Suvana Kesari Nandan Teja Pratapa Mahajagavandan Vidyavana Gune Ati Chatu Rama Kaja Karibe Ko Atu Prabhu Charitra Sunibe Ko Rasiya Rama Lakhana Sita Mana Bhasiya Sushma Rupa Dharisiya Hindikava Vikata Rupa Dhari Lanka Jarava Bhima Rupa Dhari Asura Sanhare Ramachandra Ke Kaja Samare Laya Sajivana Lakhana Jiyaye Shri Raghuvira Harashi Uralaye Raghupati Kini Bauta Badai Tuma Mama Priya Bharatai Samabhai Sahasa Badanu Tumaro Jasa Gave Asakai Shripati Kanta Lagave Sanakadika Brahmadi Munisa Narada Sharada Saita Hisa Yama Kubera Digapala Jahante Kavi Kovida Kar Sake Kahante Tuma Upakara Sugriva Yakina Rama Vilaya Raja Padadina Tumaro Mantra Vibhishana Mala Lankeshwara Bhai Sab Jag Jana Yuga Sahasra Jojana Parabhanu Nilyota Hi Madhura Palajanu Prabhu Mudrika Mele Mukamagi Jaladilangi Gaya Chara Janani Durgama Kaja Jagata Ke Jete Sugama Anu
ग्रह तुम्हारे तेते, राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे, होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे, सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी शरण, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना। आपन तेज समारो आपे, तीनों लोक हांकते कांपे, भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे, नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा, संकट से हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे, सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा, और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोए अमित जीवन फल पावे, चारों युग परताप तुम्हारा, हे प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा, साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे, अष्ट सिद्धि नाम के दाता, असबर दीन जानकी माता, राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा, तुम्हारे भजन राम जी को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे, अंत काल रघुबरपुर जाय, जहन जन्म हरि भक्त कहाय, और देवता चित्तन धरई, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई, संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा, जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई, जो शत बार पाठ कर कोई, छूटई बंदी महासुख होई, जो यहाँ पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होय सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा, तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, कीजे नाथ हृदय महादेरा, पवन तनया संकट हरण, मंगल मूर्ति रूपा, राम लखन सीता सहिता, हृदय बसहु सुर भूप, सियावर रामचंद्र पद जय शरणम। श्री राम जय राम, श्री राम जय जय राम, श्री राम जय जय राम, श्री राम जय जय राम। श्री 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 बजरंगबली हनुमान की जय, श्री 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 पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, श्री 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 संकट मोचन हनुमान की जय, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, श्री 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 सिद्धि माता जी की जय, श्री 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 नीम करोड़ी संत महाराज की जय। Thank you all. Thank you so much for being here and creating this sacred space